Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the post-show live chat, where we're going to be talking about everything that went down tonight on this latest episode of The Bachelorette. How's everyone doing? It's me, Bachelor Fantake, and we've got a lot to talk about tonight. We've got a new Bachelorette villain in Chris S. We've got conspiracies. We've got Bachelor kind of official announcements going on. We've got a few other things. So we're moving to Minnesota. We've got, which means, we really can solidify some of our final two sleuthing, because we now know that there are some dates that could have been in Palm Springs. They're not in Palm Springs anymore, which means they have to be somewhere that's after Minnesota, and that's most likely Final 3 area. So we're going to get into the chat real quick. First and foremost, the rules. Number 1, please, no posting any blatant spoilers in the chat. Of course, anything that's sleuthed out, totally welcome. We encourage that here. Anything from an official account. We're going to actually talk about some stuff from an official account, as the Bachelor creator has basically officially announced the next Bachelor, even though we all knew it because it's just out there, obvious. Major publications have reported on it, and a few other things too. I'll do my best to answer any and all questions in chat. Of course, super chats are going to get priority. I already see one in there. Please follow all the rules, and last but not least, be kind to each other. The most important rule of all. So yes, first of all, SHM Design with a super chat. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Hope all is well. Sorry I missed the past few weeks. Thoughts on Chris S. First and foremost, you don't have to worry about Chris S. If you're annoyed by Chris S this episode, Chris S is not gonna last. He's fallen into the classic Bachelor White Knight. He literally made a White Knight reference in this episode. He literally made a reference to coming in on his horse and saving Michelle or something like that. Chris S, he's going up against Nate first and foremost. Feuding with Nate. Nate gets a one-on-one next episode, and it's just not happening. He's the villain of the hour. He's gonna stick around to cause a little drama here. This is the classic Bachelor. I'm not getting screen time. I'm not a part of this season. I'm gonna insert myself here and make a move, and you play the part. You get your screen time, and maybe now he gets some followage. He gets some potential Bachelor in Paradise considerations. So, of course, a lot of people do it, and but it never ends well. Never ends well. I'd be surprised if he gets a rose after next episode. We knew that he was going to make it to Minnesota because we had seen him in this shot here, and there's a subsequent shot where it shows his face as well. But not surprised that he got a rose this episode. Would be surprised if he got one after that. But yes, and SHM Design again. Also, thoughts on the lack of the next Bachelor's edit. I don't know what it is. Here we've got an official announcement. Here, I'll just link it to my Twitter here. Here's a Mike Fleiss, the creator of The Bachelor. He tweeted out this with hashtag The Bachelor, and you can see Clayton here and Jesse Palmer, the next host. So this is about as official as it's gotten so far. Even though we have Jesse Palmer posting about The Bachelor, we had Mike Fleiss saying it was someone from this season. Their name started with a C. He tweeted out the next Bachelor. So it's Clayton or Chris, and not going to be Chris, but yeah, Clayton as the next Bachelor. So there you go. If you didn't know, and yeah. So far, I don't quite get it. Not like no dig against the guy. I have nothing really against the guy at this point, but you would think they'd either be pushing more for him, giving him a better edit to this point, or there'd be something going on, to really like get people excited about him as the Bachelor. But nothing really. Not like small things, but nothing. Little tiny bit of screen time last episode, not this episode. That much. Maybe there's going to be more. Maybe he's going to make it farther, but I really there's one one-on-one date with him in the previews, and that's about it. In comparison to, we have like Rodney, he's on another date. This, like, we know, this is the reference to Michelle's poem. The apple orchard, no one took me to an apple orchard, no one took me to prom, poem. I'm paraphrasing the line there. Whereas Clayton has one date. It's some museum kind of date or whatever, and he's roller skating in the previews. So I'm kind of perplexed. But, maybe there's something still to come. I don't get it on every front. But maybe there's something to come. And Asia, welcome back to the chat. Always great to see you. Thank you for the super chat. That was a lot for next week's preview. Chris S. went kind of crazy. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack. It's a number of dates. We see Nate and Joe getting dates. Joe on this Minnesota Twins baseball date, where they look to also be visiting the high school where Michelle went to. Nate getting the other one-on-one of the week next week. And we can start to pinpoint some of the locations where dates are happening, and also we can kind of pinpoint with Joe. There's another little thing here from the previews. This shot where this does not look like Minnesota, and this is Joe. I used the big shot here because it showcases more that it's Joe that she's with as opposed to the shot in the corner there. But in the corner, there's also some palm trees. And that's not Minnesota. And so if they travel somewhere after Minnesota, and there are a number of dates, not just next week, but the week after, and the numbers are dwindling down. We had 11 guys, we lost 3, or we're at 14, so we're at 11 guys. Next week would be getting down to like the 8, so it would be the pre-Hometowns episode. And the week after that, there's just no way that they go anywhere other than Minnesota until Hometowns. Just like the math of it all doesn't really work out. And so this for sure is somewhere that they go after Hometowns. Or, like, I don't know. And this is not Minnesota. Joe's from Minnesota, so this can't also be his hometown. If there's like palm, I don't know. Someone tell me if I'm wrong and there are palm trees in Minnesota. Don't think there are. So Joe, we're learning Joe's someone who could most definitely be in the final 3. Makes sense too. They have a sort of a connection. They have a lot going on, and he's in a lot of preview footage. So, but Chris S, again, wouldn't worry if you're not a fan of the Chris S finasco that's going on this episode. His days are numbered, and especially like with so little men left. who are the guys that are getting that Chris S is going to get a rose over? You know, Olu had a good night tonight. You know, the Rodney, Brandon, Joe, Nate, no, Clayton, probably not. Rick, like the you know, there's only so many, there are only so many roses left. So Chris's days are numbered. I'd say he's probably a good chance he's going home. And to see you again, really appreciate the other super chat. Thank you so much. I know that Clayton is our next bachelor, but I find him kind of boring. I don't know if that's just me. Yeah, I think we've been talking about that all night. And if Clayton has more personality to give, not saying he doesn't, but if he does, why aren't they showcasing that? I'd be thinking, you know, you want to put out Michelle's love story. You want to really, you know, make things as positive as possible for the dates that happen and the outcome that you're going to get to. And you want people to fall in love with Michelle and her love story and the people that she falls in love with, and make it suspenseful too. But you also want to showcase your next lead if they're going to be, you know, literally weeks after this season ends. January 3rd, Clayton is going to have his season premiere, and you want people excited about that as well. So I don't get why he isn't showcased. Maybe there's more room for that, but I feel like I've been saying that every week. Maybe there's more screen time for Clayton next week. I don't know. Or maybe they only have so much to work with up to a certain point. But, you know, it is what it is at this point. And Joy with an I, thank you so much for the super chat. I know Chris S took over the villain slot, but how do we feel about Martin defending Jamie on his one-on-one with Michelle? I'm not liking him much anymore. Yeah, Martin as well on his date. Defending Jamie, and I would have thought that Martin wouldn't have got the rose at the end of the date. I would have thought that Martin would have been left without the rose at the end of the date if it wasn't for the fact that in the previews we had seen Martin already with a rose at the end of this date. So I knew that Martin was going to get the rose at the end. But yeah, Martin definitely dropping the ball there. Especially like when she so publicly was like anti-Jamie, sent him home kind of thing. I mean, all the guys this episode were not Michelle wasn't feeling the love this episode. And I know at one point in the episode she said something like I don't want to feel like I'm pushing for everyone to make me the center of attention, but like you are the Bachelorette on a show called The Bachelorette. I think you kind of you should expect that attention, you know? You should expect guys striving for that. It's all good for broing out and everything and having fun together, but at the end of the day, this is The Bachelorette. So, either way, Martin, even though in our original sleuthing, we looked at the cast of men, and we, based off the previews, took it down to 8 guys, and Martin was in that group of 8. But simply because of the preview footage, we saw him on this one-on-one this episode. We know that he is in this, this Minnesota group of guys. But Martin is not a top 8. It's just we're trying to dwindle it down. And you can see even Jamie's here. Jamie was in some preview footage on his one-on-one date. But Martin, I would not place Martin over men such as Rick or Clayton. Just Clayton based off of, The Bachelor stuff. even though Rick is in this like dwindle down to 8 group, he's not gonna make it to a hometown. Maybe he could be someone who makes it into the episode before hometowns. I mean, we've got like who's left in the group of the cast of guys. Let's see here. We've got Brandon, of course, is still left. Casey, another guy who could go anytime now. We knew he was going to make it, again, based off of this photo. Casey gone. Chris G went home this episode. Chris S, another one gone. Next episode, maybe. So, look, we're looking at Casey, Chris S as possible eliminations. Like, if we're thinking maybe another 3, yeah, Casey, Chris S. Clayton, we know, doesn't go. Clayton's going to get, it looks like, maybe a pre-hometown date. It's a common thing in the show. They have these dates where someone hasn't gotten a rose or a one-on-one date or something like that, something special, like a group date rose or like a really special moment with the lead, and then they still make it to like the episodes right before hometowns, and then the lead goes, okay, this is the all or nothing date, the date where it's we're about to go to hometowns. I need to know if there's a major connection here or not, and usually that's on that date the person ends up not getting a rose and being sent home. Maybe that's the big hype moment that they're building up towards with Clayton, hoping that people will be like, falling in love with him. Because at this point, I just don't see him getting a date over Rodney. I mean, maybe this wrong button. Maybe this Apple Orchard date with Rodney is a pre-hometown date. I think it's a hometown date now. Maybe. But Clayton just doesn't get it over Rodney, and Nate and Joe and Brandon are total like they're getting hometown dates. I mean, we've got shots of Brandon here we haven't seen this date yet, so this is not where Brandon's from. This is not Minnesota. This is some whole lot of something else. So, after hometowns, yeah, another one on top of this this Joe stuff that we talked about earlier, and then again here Leroy. Leroy's another one who, just off the top of my head, without looking at the preview footage, Leroy, no screen time. I would see someone like Olumide Olu make it past Leroy for a pre-hometown date slot, and then he's someone else who might not get a rose in that thing. That's sort of what I'm figuring out. And we can go a little bit more into the sleuthing if they bring the preview up before the end of the hour. Otherwise, we'll just have to go into the preview breakdown on Thursday. But last week they didn't have the preview up in time. Unfortunately, the first time that's happened since we've started the live sleuthing. They're on to us. Which, by the way, if you watch the last preview breakdown, you'll know that I speculated that there was no group date rose. No group date rose this episode, because they're up to their shenanigans again. Check this out. This is from the Twitter. This is one shot from the previews, and one shot from the actual episode. There's a nice old rose right here. And these shots were shots where Olumide was kind of moving too. So they really, like some Bachelor intern, had to go frame by frame and edit out the roses. The conspiracies are getting a little much. I joke about the conspiracies. Because I think it would be so stupid for them to, like, based off of some YouTube channel, start editing out roses in these shots, but that's 2 weeks in a row where they have edited out roses. And this was very different. This shot right here, very different because the original shot over there where it says preview footage, it says preview footage because I have not fixed the thing here, but we're gonna leave it because it's just my brain has been melting from these conspiracies and I don't care anymore. That shot was like really zoomed out, farther away. This stuff with Illumide was close up footage where they frame by frame edited it out, and I'm going insane. But yes, super chat, Iris, thank you so much for the talking about the same thing that I have already mentioned. Really, really appreciate the support. Illumide's Blurred Rose throwing sleuthers off. Yeah, they are. At the end of the day, the as far as eliminations went, we were perfect this time around because of that. This shot doesn't lie. This shot doesn't lie. But they're up in their game, and there's also someone last week also mentioned we've talked about these two shots being two different swimsuits that Michelle is wearing, which would mean that she's here with the black and yellow, and then in the corner with the blue and white. And if this location is indeed somewhere that's after Minnesota, after hometowns, that would mean that, and we haven't seen either of these dates with Brandon. There's also an additional one-on-one date, which I think, I guess it's a hometown. It's another, it's another Minnesota one-on-one. So it would be not next episode, but the week after with Brandon, where they're roller skating. But this would mean that Brandon would potentially be having 2 dates after hometowns in this location, this tropical location, and that would mean he would have to be final 2 because he did a final 4 hometown, a final 3 one of these dates, and then a final 2 the other date. But someone mentioned in the chat and that what if this was just a recoloring? Some bachelor intern went in and recolored her swimsuit from blue and white to black and yellow, or vice versa. And I thought that was kind of insane. I thought it was funny, fun, insane. But after this BS, now my conspiracy brain is going, this is actually possible. This is actually possible that they went in and colored this bathing suit different. We see Brandon with the same swim trunks. My brain is going nuts. I can't handle it. And thank you, Licorice Pencil, for the super chat. The men playing Duck Duck Goose during the sleepover. I'm from Minnesota, and the game is Duck Duck Grey Duck. The disrespect. Well, yes, maybe in Palm Springs everyone goes Duck Duck Goose, but they're not in Minnesota yet. But Duck Duck Grey Duck. No Duck Duck Canadian Geese either. I guess they're not in Canada yet. Or not yet. They're not in Canada at all. But I've been enjoying the the Canadian Geese still around. Nice weather in Canada in November still. But yeah. They better change once they get to Minnesota. Or at least, I was gonna say they should have at least put the effort into calling it Duck Duck Grey Duck with Michelle there, but we saw that they had no interest in in interacting with Michelle on that group date. So, but as someone from Minnesota, and a lot of people have been commenting, there's a lot of landmarks and things to look forward to for the next few episodes, next couple of episodes, 2 or 3 at least. Plus, I don't know, would they be? No, they wouldn't be going back after that for any reason. But there's a lot going on in Minnesota. And hi DS, thank you for the super chat. It's now Clayto fan take. All right, it's been decided. Okay, Clayto. Officially changed. Clayto season starts January 3rd. Mark your calendars. Thank you for the update. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. And Austin Dickin, thank you for the super chat. Really, really, really appreciate it. Thank you a lot. I continue to believe that Clayto is just co-hosting The Bachelor for whatever contrived reason, and the press is just a fake out. And nobody will convince me or my tinfoil hat otherwise. You know what? I believe it. With the conspiracies that they are throwing out, the red herrings and everything. Look at this. Maybe. Oh my gosh, this is it. We've figured it out. Maybe Clayton is not The Bachelor. He's the host of The Bachelor, and Jesse Palmer is doing a second season as The Bachelor. I think we got it. I think Jesse Palmer is our next Bachelor. Clayto is the host, and it makes all the sense in it makes all the sense in the world. I fully believe it. What do we got here? Where's Jesse Palmer needs some redemption from. Here we go. Jesse Palmer needs some redemption from the time where he called out the wrong person's name. Chris, I called out the wrong name. It's Jesse Palmer's redemption tour. I think we figured it out. Thank you for that incredible sleuthing, Austin. You are the first person to uncover this, and I fully expect Jesse Palmer's Bachelor season to begin January 3rd. I look forward to it. Can't wait for the promos. And Kimberly Carter, thank you so much for the super chat. Thanks for the sleuthing. Thanks for the message. Really, really appreciate the support. And I had that we listened to that oh boy, my brain is so mush that we listened to that Jesse Palmer clip on mute. Is this? I think this Katie. I think we got it here.
Katie.
Most definitely, yes.
Thank you. Chris, I need to talk to you real quick.
Ladies, you'll excuse us.
I forgot her name. That wasn't the girl I wanted to give it to. It's the Karen. I said Katie. I froze and forgot. I said Katie.
There we go. Jesse Palmer's redemption tour right there. It's on its way. The mute. Hey, it's a conspiracy. I didn't mute it. Like everything, it's Bachelor Productions' fault. All right. Yeah. That's also, by the way, I did from a while ago, one of the off seasons, I did a video on the cringiest moments from the franchise. That was one of them. That was one of them. But okay, it's past the half-hour mark already. We've missed it, but it's past the half-hour mark, which means it's time for Bachelor News of the Week segment, where we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the news items from the week, some of the really thought-provoking news items. Okay, get this music done. First and foremost, people ran. People were running this week. It was all over my feed. A bunch of Bachelor people were in the New York Marathon this week. This is also me, by the way, if I were a part of any kind of marathon, both physically and mentally. That's how I'd be. Marathons are hard things to do. But really, I really didn't... I actually am only bringing this up because I wanted to show everyone this clip. Also a part of the marathon this week was this duck. So, there you go. The true reason that I brought up the Bachelor news this week, but also again, yes. So here, Jesse Palmer's season of The Bachelor, hosted by Clayto, is January 3rd, the premiere date. But and we talked about this last week, but the real news that's been coming out, that's just more and more official, the more and more I hear about it, even though it's a bunch of still a bunch of rumors, we don't know, but there is going to be, instead of another Bachelorette season in the usual slot, we have Bachelor January to March or so, and then June, maybe end of May, but June to July is Bachelorette. Instead of that Bachelorette slot, we're going to be having a second Bachelor season, and we're kind of rejigging the whole thing. And then from that point, we're going to do Bachelor in Paradise, and then Bachelorette season in the same slot, this Michelle and Claire Tayshia slot that's been happening October to December. And then in January, no Bachelor season for 2023 or whatever. And the rumor that originally started was that Michael A. from Katie's season was going to be that second Bachelor. The new rumor is Blake will be that Bachelor. Seen here, all three of these people reacting to the news that Blake might be the next Bachelor. Katie like, what? Blake like, huh? And Aunt Lindsay like, but here's my take on it, which I do not see that. I do not see that being the case. That seems... really? Blake... no. What I think could be the actual reason why this is coming out. There's a source that has said that this is the deal, and they're planning a season in Canada, and yada 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 yada. Now, this source, for all we know, it could have come from a very official place. But I'm wondering if that news came out as a red herring. That this news from an official source, potentially, because my conspiracy brain is on a red alert. It's on high alert right now with all this stuff, the shenanigans that we've seen. We there were rumors that Greg, Andrew S., Michael A. originally going to be the next Bachelor. I wonder if those original Michael rumors were true, because they came along with casting calls from Bachelor World for divorcees and single mothers. Because I wonder if the Blake news is a red herring to pull away from the rumors that Michael is going to be the next Bachelor. Now, at the end of the day, after Clayton, or, Jesse Palmer, at the end of the day, the fun part is, we don't know. People will say that they know for sure, and some might have stronger authority than others, but we have heard so many names come out over the last year, and it all seems to be untrue. Nobody was saying Clayton from this season was going to be the next Bachelor. Like, all the rumors at the time were people from Katie's season, right? I'd heard a ton of rumors about that, and yet here we are. So I don't think it's going to be Blake. I think more likely Michael, unless there's some change of heart, or who knows? Maybe they are shopping a few guys, and Blake could be one of those guys, and they thought, okay, why don't we throw out the names? Let's throw out the rumors that Michael is going to be the next Bachelor, and let's throw out the rumors that Blake is going to be the next Bachelor, and see how people react. And if people have a negative reaction one way or the other, we'll go the other way, or we'll go a third option, or something like that. Yes, and with Michael, Michael, I hope if Michael's the next Bachelor that they do something with his son. Like, the whole thing with him on Katie's season was that he left because of his son. So, we have to say, like, if we're going to like with Greg, for example, I feel like Greg was not ready to be the Bachelor. Coming out of Katie's season, when the rumors about Greg being the Bachelor were being shopped around, I felt like he was not ready for it. So, like, with everything that went on, and so I was like, I don't want Greg to be the Bachelor, because he was just talking about how this is so much more than a rose, and he was like all the things that were said. It would be weird for him to then go, okay, I'm going to be the Bachelor now. In the same way, even though I was very supportive of Michael during his season of on Katie's season, we have to, in the same way, call out the reasons that he left were because of his son. So if they don't find, I think it'd be weird if they didn't do something where they worked around his relationship with his son, that wasn't like, I don't know, bringing him on and having him like be a part of a bunch of dates and miss school or something like that. So if that's the case, I hope something normal gets figured out there. But yeah, no, and people, Blake on Bachelor in Paradise with Katie to come on, yeah, and they have former leads, yeah, that would, like, that seems more of a place for Blake to come back. Blake seems like a perfect, candidate now for, if he wants to and all that jazz. Bachelor in Paradise, Katie can come on. They can make it so dramatic. So, but we'll see. We will see. I even though right now I would say I believe the Michael stuff more. It's been a roller coaster over this past year with, like, who is going to be the Clayton spot Bachelor. We thought it was going to be one way. It ended up being another. I didn't think they were going to choose someone from Michelle's season, because I thought it would be weird to have someone on the show in the spoiler stuff. They wouldn't want to do that. And yet, here we are, and they are really not editing him into the show a lot, but there you go. I'm sure there's a ton of other small or whatever Bachelor news. But there's your Bachelor news of the week. At least the stuff that I want to cover. Take this off. That means it's over. And LA Broad 72, thank you for the super chat. Do you plan to attend Bachelor Live now that it's back on? If a Bachelor Live came to Canada or to like Toronto, is it? I haven't even checked, but if it did, I would absolutely want to go, and I would go out of my way to find a way to be there. Absolutely. I'd want to see what it's like, because apparently one of the bachelors from Bachelor Live was on this season of The Bachelorette. And came on with his notepad. And that messed up. That messed up big time. But, alright, I'm going to be checking. So, at around the end of the hour, we're going to check to see if they have the preview up see if we can do a little bit of live sleuthing. There are some things from the preview, like one-on-one dates that we can strike off the list, where we know a Nate's date and Joe's date, which helps us with the math of the whole preview situation, how many one-on-one dates we know there are, how many episodes there are left in the season. It just is further solidifying a few men that are for sure going to be in the top 4. And at this point, I still don't believe that that Nate or Brandon or Joe are losing out on a top 4 spot. It's the 4th spot that really is up for grabs, which I think, again, is probably going to go to Rodney based off of this. But here, like we've got Nate in his next episode, which is the Ferris wheel Minneapolis date. Or sorry, Joe, I meant to say. Joe in this Ferris wheel Minneapolis date. And we've got right here Joe in a prom date. So that can't be next week. So we have Joe next week, this date. Then we've got another date here. Then we've got another date here. So we're doing the math here. How many more episodes are there? If Joe has a one-on-one every episode for the next few episodes, maybe there's some way you could fit it in. But no, Joe, it makes me certain that this right here is a hometown date, because they would be back in Minnesota, where both of them went to high school. Fits perfectly well for them to have their date, the prom date, where Michelle was going, I never went to prom, and then on the same episode have Rodney do the other part of the poem, the apple orchard thing. And I am not Nicole. Welcome to the chat. So happy to see you. Back again. Really, really appreciate the support. Super late tonight, but I had to make up for last week. Not feeling great today, so I missed the episode. So I hope I didn't miss anything too crazy. Anyway, take my money. Thank you so much for the support. Really, really appreciate it. Hope you're feeling better soon. And you missed you didn't miss much with Martin's date, though we did get a rose. He's on his way out. New villain, Chris S. If you watch my videos, I can't help but think of him as Milhouse. It's just I know the reference is very much a stretch, but really, and I got a little. I think I got a little bit that I'm gonna do in the next recap video tomorrow. Another little Milhouse thing, because I don't know, something about him, like him like white knighting for Michelle is just this feeling of like Milhouse and Lisa and everything. I don't know, the eyebrows thing on the first episode. He's Milhouse to me, and Rick got the other one-on-one date, a nicer one-on-one date than Nate's, and the guys pretty much ignored Michelle on the group date, which was the drama of the night that spurred the whole Chris S. white knighting situation. But glad to see you back in the chat, and hope you're feeling better soon. And Licorice Pencil, thank you for the super chat. Joe went to Hopkins High School, whose school colors are blue and white. Definitely reads like hometowns to me. Yes, and we see there's also a trip to Michelle's high school next episode for this date after the Twins game, the Twins versus the Rays. Someone told me. It was August 15th. Someone did the sleuthing. There was only one Twins Rays game where it was a home game for the Twins. So that was approximately when this was filmed, or this would have had to have been filmed. This date, and then afterwards they go to Michelle's high school, and then there's a Ferris wheel based off of the preview, which we'll check. We'll check to see if they bring it out on time. This time around. Last week they didn't, and we had to end this live stream without the sleuthing. But there's always the preview breakdown. There's always the preview breakdown to get to. But I'll just keep an eye out. But yes, no, this blue and white, Hopkins High School. Yes, and I think I'd seen while I was doing my preseason sleuthing and research and stuff like that. I'd seen Joe in his high school basketball uniform, which was blue and white as well. So that I harkens back to that as well. But yeah, hometown date for sure in Minnesota. I'm starting to believe it more and more and more. Then this date being a final 3, at least. Final 2, maybe. We'll see. But palm tree in the background. Definitely not Minnesota. And at this point, there's no Palm Springs date to come. So, they can't be in Palm Springs. Can't be in Palm Springs here either anymore. So there you go. Some solid evidence for these couple guys. Oh yes, and I am not Nicole. The roses, by the way, if you missed it as well, or if you see on Twitter, the rose stuff, more rose CGI elimination from the preview. So they've been really messing with us this season. Yeah, and so I found myself some bored this season. Yeah, there are ratings have been down this season, and I think you said it best when you said maybe just fatigue. I have been feeling fatigue this season. We've had Claire season, Matt season, Katie season, Bachelor in Paradise. Bachelor in Paradise was kind of exciting again because it had been so long since we'd had Bachelor in Paradise, and then this season, right afterwards, there was a 1-week break between this season, early October, all the way back to first week of June. It was Katie season was on my birthday. It premiered June 7th. So June 7th to the first week of October, we had straight every single week Bachelor content, and then 1 week break, and then now we're going straight till March. And we had a short break from I picked up my pen for my notes. Then like a month and a half break between Katie's season and Matt's season, and there was no break, a Christmas break between Claire/Tasha's season and Matt James's season. And so it's been a lot. I love the show. I mean, I wouldn't be having, on here talking about the show. I wouldn't have created this channel if I didn't really enjoy the show and really enjoy talking about this show, despite its ups and downs. And I'm feeling fatigued. So I think fatigue is some of it. I think people are also getting out more too. But I know there's probably a deep dive we could do into the rating stuff, because I do think this is a good season. There's a lot that I do like about this season. And I think Michelle is a good lead as well. And I'm not Nicole again. Thank you so much for another shout out to Fantake's TikTok. The jacket edit was glorious and deserves to be seen by all. Thank you so much for the promo shout out there. Really appreciate it. Follow me on TikTok as well. I've started a TikTok just this last little bit for this season, and for future I'm going to be posting things like if I have ever an alternate intro to a video or a clip or something that I wanted to put in that I wasn't able to put in to YouTube. For example, this last week I put in something that I wanted to put as the intro to this last recap video, but I couldn't because of copyright music, and I wasn't able to license or anything like that. And so I posted there. And I'll post other clips from the videos in case you miss a video and stuff like that on TikTok. Follow me there if you feel like it, if that interests you. But we're gonna keep refreshing here to see if a preview comes up. So I'm gonna kind of be side-eyeing here. Last week they didn't want to cooperate. Yes, and someone says, Fantake, I was always wondered if you saw my viral TikTok last year about Tasha's ex-fiance's name showing up in the preview subtitles. I did actually see that. I did see that. If you're unfamiliar, there was a preview or something, and yeah, for Tasha's season, somewhere around close to the finale, I feel like it was, and they had his name in there. I don't know what the heck it ended up being, but I know that they will pull audio from all over to get the right perfect moment edit that they want for an episode. So that could be something from a random moment that wasn't put into that spot. That could be from a separate interview. That could be from her time on Colton's season. I don't know. They could be pulling something. It could be something completely separate that they never aired. But Andacia, thank you again for the super chat. I'm feeling fatigued too, and I'm in school 3 days a week, taking the bus to this place and that, going to work for 4 hours, dealing with bad kids, 4th graders. I mean, that's a much more legit reason to feel fatigue than watching too much of The Bachelorette. But on top of everything, you know, it's a lot, and I think as much as I love the show, I'll be ready. I'll be ready for the break. I also really enjoy the break because it's a time for me to sit and catch up on other things other than The Bachelor. Because I feel like I'm falling behind on other shows that I want to reference in videos, but you know, like I try to on like today I spend the day preparing for this stream, and then video editing the next 2 days. Then one of the other days of the week I'm going to be spending like trying to catch up on Bachelor news, and it's a lot. It's a lot, even when you really love something. Like, but you know, I'm pretty grateful that still to be doing this. And I do other stuff on top of outside of Bachelor World in the week, but yeah, I feel the fatigue. You're feeling the fatigue probably more than me, but it's a lot. I'll be ready for the break. And to catch up on fun stuff. It looks like maybe we're getting here just now. With the preview up. And thank you so much for the Katie with the first impression rose for being a member 13 months. It's okay to be grateful, but also be burned out. Yeah, it's just a lot. It's just a lot. A lot of Bachelor World preview is up. Yes, we've got the preview up. We're gonna be doing the little bit of live sleuthing here. Gonna try to unmute it after the ad here. But all right. Thank you so much for Katie for that message. Really appreciate it. And I don't know. I feel like I'm more excited for a season when there's a little bit of a break too, right? You know, your distance makes the heart grow fonder and all that stuff. But okay, we're on to the preview now. Let's see if we can get this going here. In a decent way. All right. Boom. And then it reset everything. Okay. Cool. Whatever. We're gonna go with this for now. So, yes, we're in the top view number 20 for this preview. We're gonna get the old heavy headphones on so we can listen. And do a little bit of first impression live sleuthing of this latest preview. All right, let's check it out.
Springs, hello, Minnesota!
It feels so good to be back home.
We're halfway through the journey.
I'm ready to battle it out for Michelle's heart.
So there we've got the group date for the episode. One we've seen before from the previews. This is the shot from the previews that they've shown. They're at the home of the Vikings football team, Minnesota Vikings football team. For the group date, we can see the guys having a little, I don't know, dressed up as Vikings, having another challenge. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of something where maybe winners get more time with Michelle. Maybe they get a jacket. I don't know. But here in Minnesota, here's another shot where they're entering Minnesota. They're going to yell out Michelle's name. We used this shot from the previews to identify the top 11 guys. And it looks like that was it. That was the top 11 that we're at now. Moving over to Minnesota, get a better look at them here. Now we won't have that shot to guide us forward, but I think we can do the math here. We could do the math and figure out who maybe's getting eliminated. I think we already talked about 3 eliminations pretty early on. Guys who little to no screen time, that we know aren't going to be getting a date in the future. For sure, I'm looking at Casey and Chris right here. These 2 guys. That's 2 of them. I've got my eye on them. We'll look through the preview footage to see if there's any possibility that they stay. They've been really sneaky with stuff. There's also, we were wrong about Spencer once, because there was footage of Spencer that they just cut from the show where he was crying. It's actually part of the end stream. Don't worry, the stream's not ending, but I'm going to show you here. Right here, this shot of Spencer that I used for the stream over thing. They've been really sneaky with the cutting out of the roses and all that. But expect the here in the group date, we know not on this date Joe and Nate. So both of whom are going to get roses. We know they last longer than next episode. So I don't think they show footage the rose ceremony footage to or much of it to speculate on rose ceremony eliminations this episode. But even if they did, we know that they've got the whole team, the CGI specialist team, editing out roses. But all right, let's continue on.
Looking for a guy who's not scared to dive in.
Every moment counts with Michelle.
You have to make a wish.
Okay, so this is another. This is Michelle's high school, Woodbury, that Joe's going to be visiting. Not the same as this prom date. I believe later on we're going to see them, Joe and Michelle doing the Ferris wheel part of their date, which will be different from this. But on top of that, finally it's the Minnesota Twins date, and then this is another thing we've talked about. We see Nate in these same swim trunks, but Michelle in a different swimsuit later on in the season. But we'll talk about that in the preview breakdown. But the first orange swim trunk date is happening next episode.
You have to make a wish.
What if it already came true?
When I'm with him, I feel fireworks.
Oh my goodness.
I feel something that I've never felt before.
Her infatuation with Nate? I feel like I got the short end of the stick.
So yeah, Chris S. continues his villain turn. There has to be a villain up until the kind of hometown area, at least. They always want that. Nate's date here, the second part of the date coming up. On this date, this group date, there's also footage with Michelle saying, she had one of the best kisses. It was one of the hottest kisses ever. There's a few people who could be. I guess we'll find. We don't know for sure, because this is a group date with a bunch of guys on it. But Brandon and Rick seem to be, possibilities. There's also a shot of her kissing Rodney on the same date. So yeah, and who's jumping off the boat there? This is Nate. Nate with the other one-on-one, and the night portion of the one-on-one date here. But yes, Nate in these swim trunks. This is a date, again, we've seen. He's going to be in these swim trunks again. Michelle's in a very different swimsuit. And I know we sort of joked about, and kind of not joked about, this being a date that's actually the same date, but the Bachelor interns colored over Michelle's swimsuit. It's a really different swimsuit, the two. I don't have the footage here, but I'll talk about it in the preview breakdown. I'm sure I'll get to that. But let's continue on Chris S. villain, continuing the villain turn. I don't know. I feel like his days are numbered. It's hard to see him getting another rose over a few other men. And he, especially with this storyline of him positioning against Nate, yeah, you're like, when you're going up against one of the front runners, it's hard to see you last much longer.
Feel like I got the short end of the stick.
Stakes are getting higher.
I want to be the one that walks out with Michelle.
Nothing's a guarantee.
He's not the right person for her.
Our relationship isn't progressing forward.
I'm nervous about what he might do.
It wouldn't shock me if he takes down other men with him.
So interesting. We've got, is this someone coming to the date? They've got Brandon here. We'll see if there's any proof that this could be the same place. This doesn't really look maybe the same. I don't know. We'll deep dive, but we know obviously Brandon. He's not going anywhere this episode. It would make more sense to me that the person that they're talking about is Chris. Chris is the person that everyone's turning against. I mean, they've got a positive shot of Martin, positive shot Clayton, both from the, looks like, the night portion. No, this would not be the night portion of the group date. This would, unless this other stuff. Okay, maybe this right here is the rose ceremony. I'm just saying because Clayton's in really casual clothing right here. So maybe this is the group date, I guess. Group date. And maybe this here and with the cake is the rose ceremony based off of the outfits that the dudes are wearing. Like, seems much more like something guys would wear to a rose ceremony. So, yeah. But this whole kind of villain talk, the guys, yeah, and we've got here. This looks like another the group date shot. We've got Rick in this outfit here, which is different from the outfit that he's in here. So we don't entirely know the place where they're having this rose ceremony. So it's hard to tell. But that's the fun of moving into the part of the preview where, or the part of the season where there's actual travel, which we haven't had for a while. But
He's not the right person for her.
Our relationship isn't progressing forward.
I'm nervous about what he might do.
It wouldn't shock me if he takes down other men with him.
Can't do this anymore.
yeah, this is fake out. Can't do this anymore. This here, fake out. This is the part. So the night portion of the date is the Ferris wheel. Nate in his outfit when he's on the Ferris wheel date, different from the prom. So, again, more proof. If you didn't need it before, there's more proof. Joe. Yeah. And someone's saying, yeah, it makes sense. Chris S. If he's opposing Nate, and he's saying, what is he saying here? I got the short end of the stick with Nate.
That I've never felt before.
Her infatuation with Nate. Feel like I got the short end of the stick.
And we'll check here too. We'll see if we can spot in any of these shots Chris in this outfit, because this could be not from the night portion of the group date. Chris in this outfit and him here like staring at this window could be him coming to the date. See, and he's leaving here. He's leaving his room in the same outfit.
If he takes down other men.
Shows up. Yeah, so we're kind of getting into a groove. We'll deep dive more into the preview to see if there are more details to prove this. But Chris S. Showing up on the date, one-on-one date, This sounds like something that we'd see on this show. The shock. But if it's Chris S versus Nate, Chris S is gone. Does he even make it to the rose ceremony? Like, maybe not. Maybe that's why they're not even showing anything from the rose ceremony except maybe a couple of shots here, like this one, and maybe something with Casey, or I don't know. Like, is this a thing? No, not really. But they're not showing it because maybe Chris S gets eliminated before even the rose ceremony happens. But yeah, Chris is gone. Chris is gone for sure.
It wouldn't shock me if he takes down other men with him.
Can't do this anymore.
She could be making a huge mistake.
If I get heartbroken, then that's on me.
Yeah, and they're like standing around here on this date. Like something like this looks like Nate waiting for Michelle and Chris to come back from whatever chat that they have. But yeah, we've got a few things to look forward to. It looks like an interruption. It has to be Chris. I mean, yeah, sure, it could be anyone, but Chris makes the most sense, especially on Nate's date. That he would show up and 2-on-1. No, I think I don't know. I think I don't think it would be 2-on-1, but I think especially with the footage from earlier, the day portion footage with Nate here. So this looks like the day portion of the date. Nate gets the full date, and then the surprise and the look of surprise on their face as someone shows up would be Chris. It's not they got to do the fake out where they've got Brandon coming in here. It's not Brandon. This is also Brandon. You can see there's footage from earlier of the guys walking around in their group date. I think somewhere around here. I don't know where it is. This is Brandon in that same outfit from the group date. Something happens. But yeah, here it is. Is it here? Nope. There it is. Brandon in the same outfit with the other guys in this shot that they're trying to, imply as Brandon showing up to this date. But no, it's not going to be Brandon. There is more footage of Nate as well past this episode. So if you needed any further evidence, there's just too much footage left of Nate for there to be some clash between Chris and Nate, and somehow Chris to win out and it to bring Nate down. So there are so many possibilities for Chris here. He could be sent home right away. They could wait, send him home at the rose ceremony, but I think he's gonna go home. Otherwise, guys, we've talked about this a little bit earlier on. Men that I'm looking at, Leroy, like you compare some of the fringe guys, the guys on the sort of outside, not Brandon, not Nate, not Joe, not Rodney, not Clayton just because of the Bachelor stuff. The guys on the outside, Martin, Olumide, Leroy, Casey, and then there's obviously Chris. But you compare some of them, and like, okay, we're looking at maybe 3 guys going: Chris S, Casey, and then well, Leroy, Olumide has had a better edit recently than Leroy. So I kind of, even though I don't have right off the top of my head proof that one of them might stay over the other, I just think based on the lack of screen time in comparison, Olumide will probably stay over Leroy. So like those are 3 guys I'm kind of thinking next week are going. But there you have it. The preview for next week. We're going to go into much more detail on the preview. Thursday, be sure to check that out on the channel. Tomorrow, recap is coming out, but there you have it. The latest preview, Swolu, yes. But otherwise, now that's it. It's end of the night. I am catching some sleep. I'm going to get up bright and early to start working on the recap video. Thank you all for joining me tonight for chatting, sleuthing, talking about the conspiracies and the latest episode of The Bachelorette. I hope you enjoyed the live chat. If you're someone who's just stumbled upon this video, didn't know what was going on, more structured recaps coming out in a few hours. So until next time, until next video, thank you all for joining me, and Bachelor Fan Take out.